Becoming a new you is a wonderful thing. But why is it that we have so much trouble sticking with it sometimes? Why we fall back into old patterns? In this video, I'm going to explain one of the biggest reasons why we fall back into old habits and patterns, and it can be found in this little candy bar. Sit tight. Welcome back to another video. My name is Jen. So, becoming a better version of you is awesome. It feels really great. And you would think that something that felt really great to us would stick around. We'd want to keep doing it. But then we find ourselves falling back into old patterns. Now, this can apply to anything. This can apply to weight loss, sticking in a certain weight. It can apply to career or just personal power, spirituality, anything where you are making some sort of transformative shift within you. Now, the biggest reason why we tend to fall back into old patterns, yes, it has to do with our subconscious and stuff that is programmed and ingrained, but the other reason that maybe doesn't get as talked about as much, because we're always talking about our own brains and how we're conditioned, but it's the stuff on the external, okay? The influences. People being attached to an older version of you. So, in this day and age, we do not like change. Why? Well, it's kind of ingrained in us that we don't like change. Our brains don't like change. It's our primitive state, right? Change is threatening. It means that, something is approaching that it doesn't make us feel good, doesn't make us feel safe. So we do everything in our power to protect ourselves, and sometimes that's going back to old ways and old patterns. But what I mean by people attaching to older versions of you. So let's take this candy bar. Now this is a Health Warrior Chia bar. I highly recommend them. They're awesome. This is not a, paid advertisement, but I opened it, so I'm probably going to eat it after. So anyway, dark chocolate. This is your outer layer, okay? So once you start shedding layers, because as we're transforming, as you're evolving, as you're making yourself a better person, you have to kind of peel off some of the layers of yourself that don't feel so good. Strip off the superficial stuff or the ego stuff or the things that are holding you back, right? You have to delve more into yourself to be able to have sustainable lifelong change. Otherwise, you're just going to keep reverting back, right? So inside of this is you, the core you. And as you move, you start unraveling yourself and unwrapping, and you get to a point where you think that you're here, okay, that you've shed this. But sometimes we haven't truly shed this because family, friends, people close to us, they still think this is us, even though this is our outer shell. This is our outer layer. We could use peanuts for this. We could use pistachios. We could use whatever. This is all I got. So you think you're here when really you're still kind of like attached. You're still kind of here. So how do you know if you've completely transformed yourself when you are just this? And this is nowhere to be seen, okay? So when people attach to this, it doesn't bother you as much. But when you're still kind of hanging on by a shred, okay, then when somebody who is still attached to this wrapper triggers you in some way, what you're gonna do, you're gonna start to slide back into the wrapper, into your old self. So this is kind of a ridiculous example, but it shows that a lot of times when we think we're completely detached or we're completely shed all our layers, we haven't quite. There's usually another layer. There's still something, some kind of cord that is holding us down. So we have to find out what that is and detach from it. So, people attaching to older versions of you. You're trying to be 2.0 of you, and somebody still likes your 1.0. So say I lost a ton of weight. I used to be 300 pounds, and now I'm 150 pounds. But my friends and family are going to know me as the 300-pound Jen, because that's where they're comfortable. That's where they feel safe. So when I try to live my life as a 150-pound new me, and I confront the people who are used to the old me, there's going to be some conflict there. It's going to feel mismatched. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but only if we're still attached to that wrapper. We're still attached a little bit to that old self. So to get to a point of complete transformation, we have to cut that cord, okay? And I don't mean cut the people out of your life, but cut the triggers and the reactions, and finding out the deeper why you're still attached. What is still attaching you to that older self? What is still attaching me to that 300-pound self? There's something there, and you have to dig to find it. And sometimes when we slip back, that is when we find it. It's uncomfortable because we never want to slip back. So usually when we start slipping or we start reverting back to old habits and old patterns, what do? We resist, right? We fight it. We say, I don't want to feel that way anymore because that's not me. But it's still a little part of you because you still have a cord attached. You still have something attached to that version. So the only way to know what it is to delve into that, is to feel the discomfort and what's coming up, not to resist it. So I hope that, this brings a little bit of clarity, a little bit of light into why sometimes patterns are harder to break, why when we think we've shifted and grown and done all this spiritual work or lost a ton of weight and feel very confident, that something triggers us and brings us back. We slip back into that protein bar wrapper. Okay, we slip back into that pistachio, and where we have that outer coating again encompassing us. So the key is to not slip back fully. It's to become aware and to observe it when it's happening, so that we can pull ourselves back out. Because what happens a lot of times is we become frustrated, we become resistant to it, so we just fall back into it. We give up sometimes, right? We say, screw it. I failed. We put it on ourselves. You have to look at it from the wider lens, the wider angle, and say, why is this happening? Why does this keep happening? And that is going to help you to have sustainable transformation. So never beat yourself up for relapsing, for eating something you shouldn't be eating, because that's all beating yourself up internally, instead of exploring further where it's coming from. So I hope you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave some comments below. I put out a new video every single week. So subscribe if you feel it. And I will see you on the next video. So have a good one and peace out.